Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime on My Media Prime, the first edition for this week. We are this evening going to be looking at the true October 1st story. What does it stand? Some people consider it a federation day. Others think that it should be described as Reunification Day, while others look at it as the Independence by Joining Day. We are going to be examining these different versions accorded to this day, the 1st of October. We know that it is the anniversary, the Independence Day anniversary of Nigeria, our neighboring country. It is also a day that has a very key significance in Cameroon's history. So this evening, we invited some history teachers to explain to us in detail what this day stands for. We are going to be discussing this evening with Ndifor Richard, who is a history teacher. Good evening, Ndifor. We're glad to have you on Prime Hour this evening.
Good evening, Leonard, and thanks for having me.
It's been a while. You appeared on Prime Hour. We're glad to have you.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad to be back.
Okay. We also are in the company of Clovis Linwe. He is, they call him Gentle, and is a teacher of history across some secondary schools in Cameroon. Good evening. We're glad to have you with us this evening, Gentle.
Good evening, Mr. Leonard. Good evening, Tamnjong Jarvis. Good evening, my Dr. Ndifor Richard, who is a colleague to me, whom I respect more. Good evening, televiewers. Happy to be here again to discuss issue concerning Cameroon. I think we are Cameroonian. We must let other Cameroonians know what Cameroon is all about. That is nation building. I'm happy to be here again.
We also are in the company of Tamnjong Jarvis, who is a journalist who works with My Media Prime. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, you. Good evening to the peace-loving people of Way Village. Good evening to the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Biya. Good evening to the opposition leaders, Professor Maurice Kamto, Nijon Fundi, all those who are trying their best, Edi Kawala, to see that we have multi-party politics in good faith, and a special good evening to all those who are going to be criticizing us but are afraid to come and speak. We want to say we respect your opinion.
Okay. We also are expecting the arrival into our studios of senior barrister Ashu Emmanuel, national president of the Reform Party, who should be on his way, I'm sure, caught in traffic. Also hoping that Professor Elvis Ngole is going to be joining us in the course of today's edition of the program. We'll start with you, Ndifor Richard. This day, the 1st of October, has many different significance to different persons. You are a federalist. How do you people describe this day?
Yeah, Leonard, on this day, on the 1st of October 1961, Southern Cameroons officially was granted independence, but that independence was granted in a complex manner, because it was not just any independence. It was not granted like any other country that was granted its independence, but it was granted independence, and at the same time, it joined with La République du Cameroun, following a plebiscite that had taken place earlier. And so Southern Cameroons achieved independence by joining La République du Cameroun to form the Federal Republic of Cameroon. So for us, in the Cameroon, the coalition of Cameroon federalist groups and activists, we consider this day as the day, the Federation Day. Federation Day because that was the day the Cameroon Federation effectively came into force. It was on that day, because we do not consider that day, we cannot consider that day as an Independence Day. The reason being that Southern Cameroons did not achieve its independence as an independent territory fully. It achieved independence by joining, and it joined La République du Cameroun to form the Federal Republic of Cameroon. So it was the day that we could say officially the Federation, the Cameroon Federation, was born. And so that is what makes it the Federation Day.
Okay, it is a Federation Day for you people. Clovis, what are you teaching the students that the 1st of October, what significance does that day have for Cameroonians?
I think it is something that we as a people, and we as teachers, that will start in front of students to teach them. They should know the particular day, 1st of October 1961. It was a day that the Southern Cameroon, who had voted on the 11th of February 1961 for reunification under John Go-Foncha of KNGP party. On this 1st of October 1961, it was a day that Southern Cameroon had independence in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. I think this should be, we as teachers, all the students know, Southern Cameroon never had independence on its own. Southern Cameroon had independence. We know history has stated it clear, historical facts. I always like that we should clarify and differentiate between historical facts and emotional facts and political facts. Because politicians will sit on the platform to tell you, to say what people want to hear and not what is the fact or historical facts. The historical fact is very clear now. On the 1st of October 1961, Southern Cameroon had independence in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. And I think it's this 1st of October that was made clear that on this 1st of October 1961, officially the Federal Republic of Cameroon was born. Which Federal Republic of Cameroon was born? Southern Cameroon that had independence came into a union in a federal structure, and the name changed from Southern Cameroon to the state of West Cameroon. Why the Republic of Cameroon? Because that is something that we also let our students know. It was French Cameroon when Cameroon was partitioned in 1916 between Britain and France. The section that France took was called French Cameroon. From 1916 to the 1st of January 1960, French Cameroon had independence from France, who was their colonial master. The French Cameroon referred to what we are calling today a region that speak French. When they had their independence on the 1st of January 1960, the name changed from French Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon. So I'm saying this because on this 1st of October, while Southern Cameroon are having independence, the Republic of Cameroon, not French Cameroon, because they had independence as the Republic of Cameroon, they came to form a federal structure. And the federal structure went operational on the 1st of October 1961. Member of two states. The state of West Cameroon was formerly Southern Cameroon, and the state of East Cameroon, which was formerly the Republic of Cameroon. So 1st October was the independence of Southern Cameroon in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon, and the effective start of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. So I think we always clarify this because people talk with a lot of emotions. People talk with a lot of people want to be telling people what they want to hear, which is not the historical facts. I always talk on this platform like a researcher in history. I'm not a politician. I am not a politician, but the historical fact that we teach our students is that 1st October was and we clearly, it's very clear because people will go as far as telling people that they had no, it was not independent. It was independent with somebody. It's just like they say that Mary, you only be considered a wife if you marry Charles or John. If you don't marry none of them, you are not a wife. Southern Cameroon was to have independent, either joining the Association of Federal Republic of Nigeria or the Republic of Cameroon. But Foncha on the 11th of February 1961 had earlier won his opponent, Ewane Ndeli, who wanted Southern Cameroon to have independent in association with the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So from there, on the 1st of October, was the independence of Southern Cameroon in reunification with the Republic of Cameroon and the establishment of the Federal Republic of Cameroon, which ran from that 1st of October 1961 until the 20th of May 1972, which it was abolished. This is the history that we tell our students, and that we have inherited. We have done a lot of research. We have followed books from authors like Julius Vitongo, Professor Julius Vitongo. We have followed books like my author is written by the then late Mokete. We have followed books like West Cameroon Archives. There where we do research to bring out all these historical sources. It's not emotion. These are historical facts.
Okay, these are historical facts. Let's understand why is it very complex to explain the significance of this day, because we understand that there are persons who would always want to celebrate this day as a day of their independence.
It's a complex issue when you look at the fact that those who are supposed to come and talk to us about the truth and the revision from 1960 to right up to date are afraid to talk. It's kind of very sad. And it is also sad when we look at the fact that those who are talking are also being tagged. But on your question, why is it difficult? I want to start with the words of Fonachirimbi, which said French Cameroon is fire, Nigeria's water. And that was also wrongly interpreted by some historians. And also another speech that was made during the 1961, which was it would be unwise to follow the abandoned and unsecured vessel, which do not give us free landing right at the horizon, than to follow the secured and floated vessel, which gives us free landing right from the horizon. Gentle can best explain those lines, and from there you understand that the difficulties there is because of bad faith. Bad faith for us not to celebrate, and bad faith because some people feel like if we celebrate this day as a big day in Cameroon, we may give room for others to question the ability why the full independence was not granted. And if we don't celebrate this day, we also gain the fact that we suppress people not to feel that it's a day that is worth it. I want to borrow from the word of senior barrister Ashu Julius in the program House of Commons yesterday, where he said this is a day that reminds us of the importance of unity in diversity. And also he said if he was to be the president, he would have loved that this day be celebrated as a day of unity. And remember that like Nigeria has 1st of January 1960 as an independence date, other countries have theirs. In Cameroon, since we have a unified nation in diversity, no one at this date can boast of the fact that this is a day of Cameroon's independence in unity. And I say so because when we look at 11th of February, the historians are there, they will better give explanation to what I'm saying. It is not the Independence Day of the Unified Cameroon. If you look at 20th May, it is not the Independent Day of the Reunified Cameroon. The Reunified Cameroon is on 1st of October 1961. And this is a day that we should celebrate in Cameroon. And also remember that we lost a territory, that is the British Northern Cameroon, because it is a significant day. And if you hear President Amadou Ahidjo, when after the reunification, took the matter back to the United Nations to call for the fact that the British Northern Cameroon be added back into the territory, and it was clear that the options were given to them, and they selected their option. So, and they said Cameroon at the time with Ahidjo has to go back and continue with what they already have with British Southern Cameroon, inclusive. So us not celebrating this day and asking the question, why is it so difficult? It is because of bad faith, and because of the fact that the people are afraid of, they are afraid of wanting to open the celebration and for others to question. But to me, that is not the point, because the historians will bear me witness that if we fail to look at history, we are likely to repeat the errors of the past, and we should have a greater role in hampering our development, our socio-economic cohesion. Because if you fail to give the youth, the young men and women, social and economic justice, then you are giving them room to start misinterpreting and having violence in their own way. So to me, Mr. Leonard, to have this day celebrated, it will be a great day. But as you said, your question, our answer in simple terms is bad faith. And people who don't understand that celebrating this day will unite us more than will divide us.
Okay, the big issue here, Ndifor, Richard, has to do with terming the day a day of independence. What would have happened if the vote actually went in favor of our joining Nigeria? Would we be celebrating an independence or independence in joining Nigeria?
Yeah, Leonard, the problem with those who are trying to push this idea that the day be celebrated as an Independence Day is that people are not looking at the facts of history. People are trying to push a certain agenda, and what they're saying has nothing to do with historical facts. It has everything to do with political propaganda. And therefore, if you separate that political propaganda from the facts of history, you will realize that on that day, on the 1st of October 1961, two things happened. Southern Cameroon's achieved independence, but it achieved independence by joining La Republique du Cameroon. And so those individuals who are pushing the idea that Southern Cameroon achieved its independence in 1961, and some even go as far as getting documents from the United Nations that show a number of countries voting for Southern Cameroon's independence. That is half truth. It's the kind of manipulation where you eliminate certain facts, and then you bring in the facts that seem to favor you, and then you try to push a certain agenda. That is exactly what they're trying to do, because they are failing to look at the entire picture and look at the entire circumstances and everything that happens on that day, and they cherry pick those things that they feel that meet their agenda, and they try to push that forward. But we all know that in October 1st, 1961, what happened is that Southern Cameroon achieved independence. Yes, that fact is not denied, but it achieved independence by joining, because prior to that day, Southern Cameroonians had overwhelmingly voted in a plebiscite in which they agreed to join La Republique du Cameroon. And therefore, if we are saying that on October 1st, 1961, Southern Cameroon achieved its independence, what are we saying about what happened on the 11th of February, 1960? What are we talking about what happened on the 11th of February? Because on that date, Southern Cameroonians voted overwhelmingly in favor of reunification with La Republique du Cameroon. So therefore, for anybody who wants to understand this and to know what the facts are, you must be able to take all of these things into consideration. You must be able to piece all of this information together and get a complete picture of what happened for you to understand the real history of Cameroon. But if you want to cherry pick and you want to pick the things that you think that will favor you, and then you push the agenda, just like this is just an example, just like when people in 1972, when the referendum was conducted, we understand that the referendum had two ballots, one that carried yes and oui, and the other ballot that says no and non in French. And people went and picked the ballot paper that says yes and oui, and they tried to push the agenda that there was no other option. That is misleading people and giving people a wrong narrative of what actually happened. And yes, we have a problem, like people of Southern Cameroon, we have a problem, but we will not solve that problem by falsifying history. We will not solve that problem by manipulating the historical facts and pushing particular agenda. We will rather solve that problem by presenting the facts as they are and let people assess those facts by themselves, and people look at the facts on the ground by themselves and make their own judgment and see who is right and who is wrong. And if we do that and do that right, we will realize that we are on the right side. But when we try to falsify historical facts and we try to manipulate events as they were, and we try to push a certain agenda to say that on the 1st of October 1960, Southern Cameroon gained independence, then when people start realizing that this was not true, then it places us at a rather difficult position than in a position where we can comfortably argue that on this day we reunite with La Republique du Cameroon on the basis of a federation. And the federation is the legal part of it, is what we of the Cameroon coalition of federalist group and activists, we are pushing to say that the terms of agreement was that we were getting into the union as a federation and that federation was illegally dissolved in 1972. And so that is the argument we should be putting forward, than putting forward an argument that Southern Cameroon achieved independence in 1961, when in fact they didn't achieve independence.
Okay, they didn't achieve independence. What do you mean by they did not achieve independence? They were a trusteeship territory that ceased from the date
when I say they didn't achieve independence, what I'm saying is that they didn't achieve independence in the light of what many people are propagating, in the light of the fact that Southern Cameroons achieved an independence as an independent territory and became an independent territory. That is not true. They achieved independence, like what I'm saying is that they achieved independence by joining. That was a special kind of arrangement that we didn't see in many African countries. It didn't occur in many African countries, but it was unique with Southern Cameroons, that it achieved its independence by joining. And that is why I'm explaining what I'm saying, in other words, is that we should take all of these issues and put it together and be able to comprehend, to be able to understand the entire situation as it happened, rather than cherry-picking events like getting documents from the UN to say that certain countries voted for Southern Cameroon's independence and sending across the wrong message that Southern Cameroon achieved its independence as an independent territory, straight and simple. It was not as straight and simple as a lot of people are putting it. It achieved independence by joining, and that is the fact, and that is the point I'm trying to make here.
Okay, Clovis, Linwe, why is it?
But again, Leonard, just before I forget, they achieved independence by joining, but that joining was on the basis of a federal system of government. And that is why I explained that on the 1st of October 1961, the Cameroon Federation was actually born on that day. And that is why that day is a significant day in our history, like Javis rightly mentioned. That day is the most important day in the history of Cameroon. The idea of celebrating the 20th of May as the National Day is another attempt to falsify history, is another attempt to manipulate history and to twist history. There is nothing that is special about the 20th of May 1972, except for the fact that that was the day that the federation that was born on the 1st of October 1961 was illegally abolished. And so it sounds like French Cameroonians are celebrating a day that they officially assimilated Southern Cameroons.
Clovis, why is it difficult to understand and accept what he is saying by many persons? Was it the fact that during the campaigns, the people were not told the implications of their vote? What was Foncha and the rest, what were they telling the people that these votes that you are going in for, these are the implications?
Mr. Leonard, I think the background of the plebiscite, they had there was a lot of complication background to the plebiscite, because before that 11 February 1961, people like Foncha of KNDP and his supporters, people like Ndele of the CPNC and his supporters, because before that 1st October, that 11 of February 1961, Ndele officially had his own political party, the KNC, that he created in 1953, and another man called Mbile with another political party called KPP. But because they had a program of association with Nigeria, they had to merge the KNC and the KPP in June 1960 to form CPNC, Cameroon People National Congress, to advocate for Nigeria. Why Foncha stood for reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. But concerning what you are saying, I'm still repeating that the background leading to the plebiscite, there was a lot of complication, because at a certain point, for example, we are only talking that there was two options: reunification and association, forgetting that there was another option of an independent British state in Cameroon. And the person who opted for independent British state in Cameroon were a well-organized political party, or a certain PM Kale, who created a political party, now a Cameroon United Party. He wanted an independent British state in Cameroon. I think before they even plebiscite, he communicated directly to the United Nations, dated 20th of September 1961. In that, he made it clear that he will not attend the plebiscite, and he will boycott the plebiscite because UN have denied or refused the third option of the PM Kale. I think the background leading to the plebiscite itself needs a lot of grievances, because many what people will ask today is, why was the third option of PM Kale? Because although it was not a popular option, but he had a voice, because apart from PM Kale himself, other pressure groups or political parties equally supported him. We have the Cameroon Commoners Congress of Manga William of Victoria, who supported PM Kale for independent British in Cameroon. You have the Cameroon Indigenous Party, Cameroon Indigenous Party of Manga William, and Cameroon Commoners Congress of Chiriensi Tambe of Manfi, who supported PM Kale. So I think this the historical the historical fact, or the infighting between the political leaders of Southern Cameroon, background leading to the plebiscite itself, was a very big problem. Because when you begin to read history, as a time, you discover that there was a certain time that Foncha was like, should I be reunification, or should they be given, because Cameroon was a British Southern Cameroon was a UN trust territory, should we have independent phase and have some period of time before reunification with the Republic of Cameroon? Ended on the other hand, so the controversy that is having for the background leading to the plebiscite or 11th of February 1961 was itself a historical a problem as far as history is concerned. So I think it is very clear that if many Southern Cameroon or many people of Northern South today have a lot of grudges, it should go back at background leading to the plebiscite, leading to the Hamida Conference of June 1961, leading to the Mfumba Conference of July 1961, leading to the Yaoundé Tripartite of August 1961, finally to the establishment of the Federal Republic of Cameroon on the 1st of October 1961. But what we know is that Cameroon was a UN trust territory, from the League of Nations mandated territory to the UN trust territory. And as a UN trust territory, Article 76B of the UN Charter has declared that all UN trust territories should be prepared towards independence. Following what UN earlier stated on 13th of December 1946, that the territory all the UN trust territories must be prepared towards independence. That's Article 76B of the UN Charter. But Mr. Lowe, I think before the plebiscite, because before the plebiscite, UN have drafted Resolution 1352. According to Resolution 1352 of 16 October 1961, UN made it clear that the time date for plebiscite must be from 30th of September, between 30th of September to March 1961, for time date, the range for the plebiscite. But as you are talking, because as Cameroon as a trust territory under UN made it clear that all of them will prepare towards independent. But there was something, as Mr. Ndifor was saying, concerning independence of Southern Cameroon. Now, there were other resolutions again that UN drafted concerning the independence of Southern Cameroon and other trust territories. That's why you see some trust territories that were given complete independence without association or integration. Looking at this resolution, let's look at the first resolution. We have Resolution 1514 of 14 December 1961. This particular resolution stated clear that any trust territory to be prepared towards independence. They should not consider that it's not economically, politically, or socially backward for it. They should be prepared towards independence. But we had another resolution drafted by the very United Nations. This one is Resolution 1541 of 15 December 1961. This one is different. This particular resolution said that these trust territories are going to classify them. Some of them can be prepared towards independence. Some of them will prepare towards independent, looking at their economic potential and other things. Some of them will prepare towards independent, either in association or integration, looking at their economic, social, and political. Like what? So, Southern Cameroon fall under this resolution 1541 of 15 December 1941, and as such, looking at her economic potential and other aspects, she was, according to UN, had to organize, had independent, either with an association with Nigeria or reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. Okay. And Mr. Lolebilan, I think we keep saying reunification, not unification. Reunification. Function one for reunification, not unification. Unification means it's just the first time they are coming together. But reunification means twice. We should not forget that Cameroon are being one from 1884 to 1969 under the Germans, and partition in 1916. The reign from 1960 to 1961 is 45 years. Coming back together is not the second time. That's why I keep saying reunification and not unification. I think people will always be clear about this fact.
That's history. I want to come now from an analytical point of view.
Yeah. Okay.
When he said Cameroon has been one, and now also this will clarify some aspect of why some people say independent and state. Now, a state, Cameroon was one as a territory.
Yes, as a territory.
As a territory.
As a territory. For that one, you are clear.
Divided by different nations, because tribes are nations, but not a sovereign state. Now, the sovereignty comes in when you have the diplomatic missions, you have a flag, you have a currency, you have an anthem, you have a symbol, you have a motto. Then we could go by that premise that if we had that before the Germans, we could go by the premise of reunification. We are coming to the premise of reunification under the new form of state, which is on the rebirth of the word sovereign state, where there's an introduction now of a flag, of a symbol, of an anthem, of a currency that unify, that shows that these are people of this particular area. Then the premise of reunification come in. Now we are saying that, what I'm saying is that historians are mixing these two, and because of the fact that there is a difference between reunification as Cameroon as a state, sovereign state, and there's a difference between reunification as Cameroon as state of people. For example, the people from let me just land, the people from West region, the people from West region are the Bamums. Their brothers are also the people from So. Then as a state, they were one as a state, where they are local, they were doing trade by barter. Their legal tender, let me go now economically, their legal tender was more on calories, which they use as a medium of exchange for goods, calories for goods and services. That was what they used as legal tender. Then they also had a different way that unified, that shows that this is people from the same area, like their culture. That's why you, historian, you best explain this or talk about the violation of the minimum monopoly of trade, which says our wish is that the white man should not penetrate because they have their culture. Now, as a state, a sovereign state, I would bet to say we should not use the word reunification as a sovereign state under what we are talking now, like diplomatic mission. Because if I ask you, who was the first president of Cameroon when the German was? None. What was the flag they used when the German, before the Germans? None. What was the symbol of authority, like we have the peace work fatherland? None. There was none. At that time, it was more of intertribal wars where this territory get this territory. So from the analytical perspective, I'll bet to differ with historians here that we should not talk about a reunification under the conceptual West, because what we are talking about sovereign state is a conceptual West mentality. But when we go back to our African root, it's a state.
Okay. Let me clarify something, Chap Jarvis. We are talking about state and kingdom. That is pre-colonial Cameroon, before colonization. Before Britain, France, and finally Germany and next Cameroon, it was a pre-colonial Cameroon, before the colonization of Cameroon. That's why we talk about state and kingdoms, the centralized and the decentralized societies. That's where you have independence. So the money that social and economic affair, the Bali, the money that social and economic independently, and only do intertribal something. You come to decentralized like the Bakosi, the money that affect the Doualas, the money that affects. That is pre-colonial Cameroon. Pre-colonial Cameroon, there was no Cameroon. Cameroon came when the German annexed Cameroon in 1884. So what I was saying is that from 1884 to 1916, as a colonial territory, not an independent state, Cameroon was one. As a colonial, under the colonial, under the Germans.
I'm saying,
let me land.
You are right there now.
Let me land. But I'm just trying to bring something. From 1884 to 1916, Cameroon was under the German. Partitioned by Britain and finally 1916.
We had
and then come back again. I'm just saying that's why we know where the reunification is coming back.
Now we've just been joined by senior barrister Ashu. Emmanuel, the national president of Reform Party. We are talking about the true story of October 1st, a date that has so given many significance, also relate differently by different persons. What, according to the Reform Party, should be the celebration on the 1st of October?
Good evening, televiewers. My excuses for the late arrival due to traffic. Good evening, fellow panelists, Mr. Kum. Well, 1st October is the day when Southern Cameroon obtained its independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon. And if you notice very well, you will see that in the whole of Cameroon's history, there is no date for reunification. There is no reunification date. We are all happy that the country was reunited, but unfortunately, there is no date for the official reunification. The 1st of October is the date when Cameroon was united de facto. That is, as Southern Cameroon obtained its independence, the euphoria just carried the people to start living together. But de jure, there has never been any reunification. When I say de jure, it means by law. At law, there is no reunification, but de facto, everyday life, there is reunification. We're living together. There is living together. It's like, can we stay in common parlance? So that is the point. So people will want to know why I say de jure there is no reunification, because de jure, the United Nations said, you will obtain independence by joining. There is no act of joining. There is no legal act of the joining. And you see, we are talking of two sovereign territories coming together. There has to be a legal instrument that materializes that joining, that coming together. There isn't. So I am saying that in answer to your question, the real celebration of 1st of October 1961 is the Independence Day of Southern Cameroon, and it ought to be celebrated as the de facto reunification date, because that is the day when Southern Cameroon and Republic of Cameroon started living together in an uncertified union.
So what did they vote for?
What was voted for? Now, the vote took place on the 11th of February 1961. That was the choice, the exercise of the choice, either to have independence by joining Nigeria or independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon. After that vote, the question you are asking arose. What is the meaning of this vote? It doesn't mean that by this choice, these people have automatically become the citizens of the Republic of Cameroon. That was when the UN said no. And they organized an independence vote, an independence session for Cameroons on the 23rd of April 1961, which gave birth to the resolution 1608, wherein Article 2A and B, A, recognized the independence of Northern Cameroon as an independent province of within the Federation of Nigeria, and B, recognized the independence of Southern Cameroon as an independent republic by joining the Republic of Cameroon.
Okay.
So that was what they voted for. They voted to have independence by joining their sister Republic of Cameroon. So as I'm saying, the official act of joining is absent. It has never been. They went to Fumban, had nothing. Went to Yaoundé, there was nothing. And what we finally ended up with is a federal constitution that was drafted and enacted by the Republic of Cameroon in Solo.
Okay. Ndifor, Richard, do you understand the prism from where senior barrister is coming from, that they voted to join? Okay, we have just been joined also by Professor Elvis Ngole. Ngole, we're glad to have you. Prof, welcome. We're glad to have you this night.
I'm not sure if you don't get.
Yeah, we get you. We get you.
You getting me?
Yes, we can get you.
I mean, it's a pretty poor connection. But if I have to say something, I will begin by saluting and greeting the very distinguished panelists. I see the Davis, Leonard, Senior Barrister, Ashu, Ndifor. And so I greet all of them. And I know that we are all rational citizens and beings, and I appreciate the qualities of everyone. But in appreciation of everyone, I recognize and I'm conscious that we have to understand that whatever we say, we're saying to knowing very well that Cameroon is a full member of the United Nations, and that Cameroon a product and a breakdown of the United Nations system. And so we may say what we want to say. I think the best and the most certain authority on Cameroon is the United Nations system itself. And we would like to remind our audience that the United Nations, as an actor in international relations, and as a guardian of international law and diplomacy, has a wealth of experts and expertise in political science, in law, in anthropology, all sorts of academic domains. And so, what history might be possible yet, whatever analysis we might be making, you can ignore the fact that the United Nations is a living party. Has all the knowledge that we will need in case we argue and we cannot agree. It is the authority in international relations and in international law. Based on that, what I would like to say is that there are those who believe that, first of all, the year independence for what they do as Southern Cameroon, but Southern Cameroon because they did, I don't know, my name is but I should like it. But again, that's the state. The fact of it, in law, diplomacy, and based on Cameroon, the Southern Cameroon is a former territory. Was part of the British troop territory, British Cameroon. British, that was community, divided territory to two parts, British North, British South. And the United Nations concept, the territory, which had never been a sovereign, never achieved sovereign, remained the trust and authority of the United till the territory vote on the 11th of 1961. And on the basis of that exit was the preference, the people of the then British Northern Cameroon and the then Cameroon. British Northern Cameroon became an integral part of the Sovereign Republic of Nigeria, with effect, I think, June of that same year. British Southern Cameroon became reunited, our Cameroonian vocabulary. British Southern Cameroon, after the plebiscite, became united with the brothers and sisters of the Sovereign Republic of Cameroon. And since then, the British Northern Cameroon has never revendicated or claimed that it was independent outside of the Nigerian Union. The British Northern Cameroon has remained an integral part of the Nigerian Union and the Nigerian Federal Republic until this moment. And in the case of the British Southern Cameroon, which opted really to reunite with their brothers and sisters of the then Sovereign Republic of Cameroon, we also have remained an integral part of the Republic of Cameroon, which began after the Fuman Conference of July 61 with a constitutional arrangement which had to take effect on the 1st of October 1961, and which gave birth to a federal union or a federal republic or a federal state That federal state took effect on the 1st of October 1961. And so 1961 in history remains the date that historically the Federal Union or the Federal Republic or the Federal Constitution came into effect in the New Cameroon. That historical significance, nobody can quarrel with. But as far as the political significance or the political meaning of that date does not have a political significance and doesn't have a political meaning because it is the powers that be of the sovereign state that gives political significance, that dedicates. And as far as the sovereign republic and state of Cameroon is concerned, the historical significance still remains. We all respect that for whatever it's worth. There are some who have different interpretations, who agree, and those who don't agree. But that historical significance is there and it stands. And the United Nations is the perfect witness to that history. Now, in political terms, therefore, if we're looking for political meaning or political significance for that date, the truth is, and the fact is that there isn't one, because the powers that be of the sovereign state has not given any political meaning or dedicated any political significance to that date. So, we may talk as we want. The bottom line is, and the truth of the matter is that the Republic of Cameroon, as a member of the United Nations, and also as a brainchild of the United Nations in terms of history, is a union that is what lawyers would refer to as a de jure union, because it is constitutionally based, it is diplomatically recognized, and it is recognized by the laws, and it has political legitimacy because it is based on the sovereign preferences of the peoples of Cameroon. So there is no argument as to the de jure nature of the Republic of Cameroon, because the facts are there, and the UN, I still say, is a witness to this. And so those who make the argument that it is de jure is not de jure, or that it is de jure de facto and not de jure, I think no one doubts that it cannot be de facto. It can only be de jure because de jure means it is backed by the law. De jure means it is backed by the constitution. Law meaning the Cameroonian laws, the Cameroonian constitution, and even international law. So no one can deny that it is a de jure union. But again, for those who want to look for political significance, when the plebiscite was instituted on the 11th of February 1961, that the two questions of that plebiscite were not written by drunkards or by palm wine drinkers somewhere in New York or in London or in Lagos or in Yaoundé. These questions were written by United Nations experts and understood by British trusteeship administrators, Cameroonian political leaders, and the Nigerian political leaders. And the questions were very clear. It is independence by joining. Joining what? It is independence by joining a sovereign independent state. In which case, the people who wrote those two questions knew very well, and they are still, because I said the UN is still alive. The political meaning, or the legal meaning, or the diplomatic meaning of that phrase, independence by joining, can only be one, and can only be de jure. That is to say, British Southern and British Northern Cameroon, by making their preferences, became de jure members of the sovereignties of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the case of the British Northern Cameroons, and for the case of the British Southern Cameroons became an integral, de jure
integral part of the Republic of Cameroon.
Okay.
And so every other thing that evolved was an internal arrangement in Nigeria, as far as Nigerian Federation was concerned. In the case of Cameroon, everything that of February 1961 was an internal arrangement of the Republic of Cameroon at that time. So the Fuman Conference, which gave birth to a federal constitution which took effect on the 1st of October 1961, was an internal arrangement, but that internal arrangement was approved by, was witnessed by, was sanctioned by the United Nations under international law, under diplomatic law, and under the constitution of the Republic of Cameroon. And the United Nations, which is still alive, has never quarreled with that, has never argued with that. And that is why those of us who make these arguments as if to say we are in a court of law, not that we don't have the right to make these arguments, but we must be conscious that we do not say things that will ridicule us before international public opinion. We do not say things that can create problems amongst our brothers and sisters of the two, the Northwest and the Southwest regions, of which all of us are a part.
Okay.
We are supposed to educate. We are supposed to give scientifically based knowledge.
Thank you.
It doesn't mean that if we give knowledge, that the knowledge must be, that everybody must agree to the knowledge. Because science is a bunch, is a kind of knowledge which is well founded, which is established.
Okay.
People can argue over the people can,
Prof,
but it is scientific and
okay, Prof, we'll be getting back to you. Let's get Ndifor Richard also react to this. Senior Barrister actually says that it was an intention, or the vote signified something, but that legally or constitutionally speaking, the union was not, it's not legitimate. That's what you say.
Yes,
yes.
I did. With all due respect to Professor Elvis Ngolengole, he has a right to his opinion, but when we talk law, the law is the law. Huh? We cannot change the law. And this particular instance, we are talking about international law, which is materialized by the resolution 1608. It is not Ashu who wrote it. I invite him to read that resolution and tell the world what Article 2B of that resolution says. It recognizes the independence of Southern Cameroon by joining the Republic of Cameroon. We will come back now to the question of the nature of the joining. What do they mean by joining? Is it by being assimilated by the Republic of Cameroon, or by joining as a sovereign state? To answer that, we go down to Article 5 of that resolution, which authorizes Britain, in conjunction with the government of Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon, to sit and determine the conditions under which the two nations are going to live together. It is not actually talking. I think we should educate and not miseducate. This is an international instrument of law which anybody can consult on Google. Now, when we talk about legitimacy of the union, please, you can open Google, look at, I have it in front of my essay, the Constitution of 4th of March 1960, Cameroon Constitution of 4th of March 1960. The thing is so clear. It is right there. They tell you that on the 14th of August 1961, the National Assembly of the Republic of Cameroon voted, modified their constitution and voted the federal constitution, which was presented as a constitution that was going to unify Cameroon. That the Assembly of the Republic of Cameroon. Now, this is a situation where we have two sovereign states wanting to come together. I said earlier, the nature of coming together has to be examined.
Okay.
If two states are coming together, how can they come together? They can either come together as in a federation, in a confederation, or in another form they want to take.
And for Richard,
or in any other form they want to take. So it is not to be supposed that coming together means one state swallowing up the other.
Okay.
And at international law, the moment you recognize a community as a state, the whole thing is changed, because that state with a government and parliament, because Southern Command had a bicameral parliament, the parliament and then the House of Chiefs. So how can you at law justify?
But the bicameral, it operated within the federal structure?
No, they had the structure. They had the structure of Canada. You see, look, within the dominion of the Queen of England, they had their prime minister, and the Queen of England remained like what the role she's playing there as the head of state.
Okay.
Until independence.
Okay. Yeah. Just coming very briefly.
I think what Sinyoba says, he is right that the draft federal constitution was mostly a draft constitution of the Republic of Cameroon. That's the clear thing. But the controversy there is the historical fact that very draft federal constitution that we are saying that it established the Federal Republic of Cameroon, which was a pure constitution of the Republic of Cameroon. On the 5th of September 1961, this very draft federal constitution was passed in the Sergeant Cameroon House of Chiefs.
Okay.
26 members on 5th of September 1961. Historically, I think I always say that, it passed in the Sergeant Cameroon House of Chiefs, and then after observation, some of the Sergeant Cameroon, the chiefs, some members of the House of Chiefs, Sergeant Cameroon, they remarked positively. Like Chief Oben Omanfe, he remarked positively. Like Chief Galiga, he remarked positively about this Galiga, he'll give a positive remark. And then from there, you see, that's the 5th of September 1961. And again, on the 18th of September 1961, the very draft constitution passed in the Sergeant Cameroon House of Assembly. And at the end of the day, although they exposed a lot of weakness, especially the team of the CPNC of Mr. Endeli, who exposed a lot of weakness about this federal draft constitution. So I'm not arguing with him. It is clear that the constitution was a pure constitution from the Republic of Cameroon. But for the fact that historically it passed through the Southern Cameroon House of Chiefs, the 26 members, and many of the chiefs gave a positive remark. And then 18th September 1960, it passed in the Southern Cameroon House of Assembly. And although they exposed some of the weakness, at the end of the day, they concluded it's controversial.
Okay. Ndifor.
I'm saying.
Okay. These are historical facts here. Ndifor, Richard, I want us to get back to the constitutionality, the legitimacy of this, which accordingly to senior barrister does not tie that after the voting, some other things were supposed to have been done to cement. How do we understand this? But Professor Elvis Ngole says that this was done under the auspices of the United Nations. Actually, that is a guarantor of our international law. Until date, they actually supervised, endorsed, and are observing what took place.
Yeah, Leonard, the sound quality is not the best, and I really get this one quite well. But I will just try to attempt some of the issues that were raised, especially by Professor Ngole, who claimed that the date of 1st October 1961 do not have any political significance in Cameroon, given that the power that be have not assigned any significance to that date. And what is interesting is that Prof seems to be saying that if the power that be, President Biya get up and say that he wants to ascribe significance on the day his mother was born, that is the Cameroonians should embrace, and that there should be no question on that. And that any other day could just be handpicked, or they can pick any kind of day, and as long as it is the power that be, as he claimed, ascribe that day as a politically significant day, that is when we can recognize the day. I want to say that the power that be could pick a day and say that this day is an important day, trying to hide history or trying to manipulate history. That does not mean that as Cameroonians we cannot question the power that be, and we can just swallow what they give us as the gospel truth. We understand that 1972, 20th May, which is the day that the power that be, to use Prof's own word, decided or chose to be the significant day for Cameroon, and decided that that could be a national day. It's a day that it's a controversial day, a day that leaves us to wonder what was so important about the day,
Ndifor,
given that 20th of May 1972 was the day when the federal constitution was illegally abolished.
Yeah, Ndifor, please. During the 20th of May, we discussed about 1972. We had 3 or 4 editions on that. I want us to look at the significance of the 1st of October. And Senior Barrister actually is saying that there was a vote to that effect for either joining Nigeria or Cameroon, but does not actually see legitimacy in it because something was not done. The United Nations, according to him, ordered that certain things be done which were not done. But the Professor Elvis Ngolengola is saying that the United Nations is still very active and is aware, and if it has not actually evoked any lapses in it, it means that they endorsed what took place. I want us to remain within the October. Yeah.
Jonah, let's come back to that to say that there is no question about the fact that on the 11th of February 1961, Southern Cameroonians voted overwhelmingly to join La République du Cameroon, and to quote Article 1608 that Senior Barrister Ashu make mention of. Article 1608 is very clear on that. Article 1608 confirm that they respect the decision of the people of Southern Cameroon who voted on the 11th of February 1961. That same resolution 1608 went further to say that the authority of Southern Cameroon and that, which is the government of Southern Cameroon and that of La République du Cameroon, should enter into a negotiation and reach an agreement on how they want to implement the vote that took place on the 11th of February 1961. That one is very clear in the resolution 1608. And in that same resolution, like Senior Barrister Ashu clearly indicated, on that very resolution, the United Nations clearly indicated that the people of British Northern Cameroons voted to join Nigeria, and they approved their vote. They endorsed it and accepted that British Northern Cameroons will be a province in Nigeria. But when it came to Southern Cameroons, the United Nations General Assembly clearly indicated that they also approved the vote of Southern Cameroonians, but called on those two governments, the government of Southern Cameroon and that of La République du Cameroon, to now negotiate and discuss the modalities on how the two territories were going to be reunited, which is where the issue of federation comes in. I don't know why we are not talking about this, because this is very important. It's important to acknowledge that it is by virtue of the recommendation of the UN General Assembly in Resolution 1608 that the two governments, the government of Southern Cameroon and the government of La République du Cameroon, met to discuss, and that is where we had the Fuman Conference, where they had to meet and talk about the agreement on how they were to come together. And in it, they agreed that both territories were to come together as a federal state, and they put in place legislation that was to ensure that the federal structure of Cameroon was to be protected, legally protected, and in fact, it was protected by the Constitution. And the reason why going back to 1972 is very important, because, you know, Leonard, we cannot discuss history in isolation. Yes, we are talking about 1961, and we are talking about the 1st of October, but it is very difficult to limit our discussion on October 1st, 1961, without piecing together the different events that happened prior to the 1st of October 1961 and after the 1st of October 1961, to be able to give a complete context of what we are talking about. If we just have to focus only on the 1st of October 1961, we are going to be doing the kind of cherry-picking analysis that is going to leave people with misinformation. So that is why it's important to get all of this together to understand that in 1972, the 20th of May 1972, what happened was a violation of what was agreed upon to be the union between La République du Cameroon and Southern Cameroon, which both territories had agreed to come together as a federal structure. And it was legally binding by Article 47 of the Fuman Constitution that forbid both territories from, or even the National Assembly of the two territories from proposing. We should be clear here that they did not even want a proposal to the extent that such proposal will even be entertained in the Assembly of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. That will lead to the extent that the federation will be abolished. And Ahidjo knew this so well. And that is why Ahidjo bypassed the assembly, the National Assembly, and went to organize the kind of referendum which was some kind of coercion and manipulation, given the way the questions were structured and given the way the campaign were done and all of that, to manipulate Southern Cameroonians to have a vote of 99.9%. And all what some of us are saying is that let us go back to the drawing board. We go back to the drawing board, and Professor Ngole cannot just say that everything has been sealed and everything was done, and therefore there is no go back. That would not be right.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. If you allow me to come in.
Yeah, you're going to.
I didn't say.
Let me just make my conclusion. Let me make my conclusion.
Okay.
Yeah, just to say that if we look at the Constitution of the United States, we would see that several times they have gone back to the Constitution, they have made amendments to the Constitution, they have made touches to the Constitution, and have changed a lot of things in the Constitution to be what it is. And therefore, Cameroon is some kind of nation building. We are building Cameroon. It is in the process of we build it. And therefore, if at some point in our history, we discover that certain decisions were made that were not in the interest of the nation, there is nothing but going back to look at it. When the President of the Republic came back to say that the form of the state is non-negotiable, that is such a radical kind of position, which only goes to further aggravate the current situation that we have. So therefore, some of us are strongly proposing that we go back to the drawing board. We look at the Constitution, we look at our history. Why did we even get to that point where we have to agree on a federal system of government? And why should we go back to the federal system of government? Yes, it might not be a federation as it was in 1972, but it should be a federation. All this manipulation of decentralization, special status, and all this thing that does not come anywhere close to being a federation are things that we should not entertain, and be frank enough to sit down and look at our country's constitution and see where we can fix it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you. If I may come in?
Yes, come in, Prof.
And I'm coming. The first thing I would say after listening to Mr. Ndifor is that we should be frank with our people and be honest to say that whatever we say, the United Nations is listening to us. The world is listening to us. And we must strive at least to be honest with our people by saying that when the two plebiscite questions were asked to our people on the 11th of February 1961, independence by joining either the Republic of Nigeria or the Republic of Cameroon, the Sovereign Republic of Nigeria or the Sovereign Republic of Cameroon, there was no condition of a form of state which was called a federation. A federation was not part of the deal in raising those two questions. A federation could have been an understanding among the people or among the political actors. But as far as the United Nations is concerned, when the two questions were presented or were presented to the people of the then Southern Cameroons and the then Northern Cameroons, a federation was not part of the deal. But the questions the people responded to the question. British Northern Cameroons responded in their own way by opting to join the Sovereign Republic of Nigeria, and those of us who are of British Southern Cameroons, who were then of the then British Southern Cameroons, opted to join. The United Nations respected that. Britain respected that. So we have to know that it was a decision made by us freely, and it was respected by the United Nations and by Britain. And both the United Nations and Britain knew very well that in raising those questions and in our responses, the idea of a federation was not attached to it. A federation came about as a result of the attempt or in a bid to be in conformity with Resolution 1608, which provided that British Northern Cameroons would, of course, integrate with Nigeria according to the internal procedures that were that pertained in Nigeria, and that in the case of the British Southern Cameroons, given the conditions, political conditions, and so forth that pertain in the Republic of Cameroon, negotiations or discussions or consultations will take place, and that is what the Fumban Conference represented. The Fumban Conference, and even after the Fumban Conference, as you know, there was also a Yaoundé Constitutional Conference after the Fumban Conference. These were all attempts or actions to be in conformity with Resolution 1608, and that was done. And the UN, both the UN and Britain, respected what was done in the case of Cameroon, just like they respected what was done in the case of the British Northern Cameroon. Now, when you talk about the 20th May 1972 being like an imposition or being not in conformity with the letter or the spirit of Resolution 1608 or of the Fumban, the Federal Constitution, I think that's where we all go wrong. Not everybody may agree to something, and we are all free to interpret according to our understandings, but the fact remains that it doesn't depend only on us alone. We live in a world where others too matter and others too have something to say. The UN has something to say. Britain has something to say. I was amazed to see that, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, a group of some of our brothers who call themselves Ambazonians went to number 10 Downing Street that giving a petition. I mean, just imagine the ridiculous, character of such a move. Could you imagine Britain undoing what it has done? Receiving a petition that what? Britain did not do it well? Or going to the UN in the 1990s to give a petition and coming back to lie on the Mungo Bridge? How ridiculous can these things be? We must accept that not everyone may understand or not everyone may accept what has gone on. But as long as we were moving in the direction of evolving, you use the word nation building. We are building a new nation, a new republic. Sure, some things might be done well, some things may not be done well, but as long as we remain patriotic and we remain rational citizens, which I know we are, we have to give ourselves the latitude, and we have to manifest the dignity and integrity to continue to think, to continue to reflect, to continue to work on our brain. The worst thing we can do to ourselves is to declare a war against the established sovereign state, and worse still, to declare a war against ourselves or on our innocent population, which is what is going on now. Whereas, in case there are any misunderstandings, in case there are any issues, in case there are certain disagreements, which are bound to be, you just mentioned the United States. You know, and you would agree with me, that when the United States started in 1776, it was a confederation. It was not a federation. And after about 10 or 11 years, just like Cameroon, they themselves decided that the Confederation was not working and that they needed to do something. And that's why they met in Philadelphia in 1787. And they spent 3 months in the summer in Philadelphia in order to transform the Confederation into a federation, which is what we have today. The federal is a federation of, even though we call it the United States, but it's a federation that has transformed from a confederation after 10 or 11 years, just like Cameroon. You know, all unions evolve. No union is static. You take the case of our brothers Nigeria. I mean, they began with 3 regions. They went to 12. They went to 19 states. And now they are 36. All unions evolve. As long as the people are dignified enough, they are rational enough, and they are patriotic enough, we can move, we can solve all problems. We don't need to go carry guns and go to the bushes and start killing and kidnapping people and destroying. This is where we should not go to.
Yeah, Prof, we'll be getting back.
So for me,
Prof,
yes.
I'll be getting back to you. Let others also talk in the studio. Here we have Jarvis and Senior Barrister. I want us to focus on this day. It is true, Ndifor Richard says we cannot also make complete sense without going beyond this date, October the 1st, which is celebrated differently by different people of Cameroon. But this term, independence by joining, is that not where the confusion actually comes? What do we understand by you are having independence by joining a sovereign Cameroon, sovereign Nigeria?
You
come and then he follows.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Liu. Before I come to that, to your question, I think there's something that I have to make straight in what Professor Ngolengole was saying. He said essentially that it was a matter of interpretation. Let me make it very clear. You see, if you read Resolution 1608, it is not a matter of interpretation. With their permission, I mean, people should have this thing clearly. Article 4 of that resolution states, decides that the plebiscites having been taken separately with differing results, the trusteeship agreement of 13 December 1946 concerning the Cameroons under United Kingdom administration shall be terminated in accordance with Article 76B of the Charter of the United Nations and in agreement with the administrative authority in the following manner. A. With regard to the Northern Cameroons, on 1st June 1961, upon is joining the Federation of Nigeria, it's joining the Federation of Nigeria as a separate province of the northern region of Nigeria. B. With respect to Southern Cameroons, on 1st October 1961, upon its joining the Republic of Cameroon. Not the words. 5. Invites the administering authority, the government of Cameroon, the government of the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon to initiate urgent discussions with a view to finalizing before 1st October 1961, the importance of the date you are talking about, the arrangements by which the agreed and declared policies of the parties concerned will be implemented. Where does interpretation enter here? What do we don't understand here? Is it agreed or declared? Where did the parties ever agree? Where? After this resolution, please, historians, tell us or produce to us where parties ever, the two states ever agreed or declared the way their policies are going to be implemented. Let us make this thing clear. In Fumban, nothing was signed. There was no agreement that came out of Fumban. Southern Cameroon went to Fumban after they met in Manfe at the Manfe Constitutional Conference, where they decided that they were going to Fumban for confederation, not for federation. What was presented in Fumban was President Ahijo's draft federal constitution. He tried to take their interest into consideration, but it was not their work. So, if Fumban had been a success, why Yaoundé? Fumban was a failure. That is why this time, because Article 5 says that it is Britain that was supposed to oversee the agreement between the two states.
Was Britain not there?
Yaoundé, Britain was there. In Fumban, Britain was not there, which means Fumba was a nullity. Fumba was a nullity at international law because the person who was supposed to oversee was not there. Yaoundé, Britain was there. Now, in Yaoundé, while they were in the hall, they noticed that, Aïdjo noticed that Southern Cameroons were standing firm on their confederation. So he summoned his own assembly to vote into law, vote as an amendment of his 4th of March 1960 constitution, the project that he was presenting.
Okay.
There was nothing as an agreed or declared
Clovis
policy.
Clovis, we know that there are meetings that took place between these two sides. You said that they were supposed to go and discuss amongst themselves.
Agree. There
was a Fumban conference. There was the tripartite. Yeah.
Normally, we have the Bamenda Party conference in June 1961, 26th of June 1961. Only for Anglophones for Southern Cameroon. Because majorly Foncha had won for the Reunification of the Republic of Cameroon. Foncha and many other Anglophones of Southern Cameroon had in mind that they are joining people that are totally different from them. Culturally, economically, they were using CFA franc, but Southern Cameroon were using pounds. And then economically, Southern Cameroon was less developed. Why they were economically developed?
More developed.
Yes.
More developed.
Yeah, more developed. And then socially.
More developed. Southern Cameroon had 4 international airports. You must leave that thing.
No, I'm a barrister. But we're just talking in terms of Southern Cameroon, the Republic of Cameroon.
Yes, they were more developed, sir.
The infinite even
history straight.
Let me land though. See, the infinite even clear today. When you look at Bamenda and Boya, you cannot compare among the 5 biggest cities in Cameroon. That of Bamenda is number 15. Let me say for the Anglophones.
For today, that's today.
Yeah, I'm talking of today.
In 1961, what was it?
Let me land bar. Let me bar. The truth is that Mr. Leonard. I keep saying that I'm not a politician. We're trying to bring it historically. But I'm not saying that they will not. They will have the airport, Tico Airport. I'm not saying that they will not institution in West. We should be clear about this. We're just saying that. Major Foncha won for reunification of the Republic of Cameroon. Economically, even today, east of French Cameroon was more developed than France. Let me do something. When Major Britain and France took over Cameroon in 1916, Britain is somebody who had in mind that she will not remain Cameroon forever. In Cameroon, and Cameroon was a UN trust territory from Mandate B territory of the League of Nations to UN trust territory. Yeah. I'm just to clarify the issue.
Yeah, but Senior Barrister said there was no conclusion, there was no supervision from Britain. Did Britain present? Did Britain inform the United Nations that their mission in Cameroon was complete?
No, normally Britain informed the United Nations organization that their mission in Cameroon is totally complete. And
there's a document?
Because let me learn.
Okay, go on.
Let's go to West Cameroon archives. We do his research. We are not emotional. Those are historical facts. Yes, I'm not a politician. I talk pure historical facts. That's why we're talking about. 13 December 1946. Given that UN is coming, who organized plebiscite? It was not the British who organized plebiscite. It was UN. After British have signed a 100,000 pounds to use for the plebiscite, it was UN who purely organized plebiscite. Voters' election was purely UN. Why UN? Because Cameroon was a UN trust territory. It was not given to Britain to administer it under the control of the United Nations organization. That's why it was UN who organized, finalized plebiscite, not the Britain again. Britain never had any hand again when it comes to Cameroon. So I think this thing we should be clear about this. We should be clear ourselves about the issue. So I was saying that immediately Foncha won for reunification. There was a wide differences between Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon. They speak French, Southern Cameroon speak English. They use pounds. CFA Southern Cameroon use pounds. Because of the differences, Foncha and other Southern Cameroon politicians decided to meet in Bamenda in June 1961. And it was in Bamenda Southern Cameroon wanted that the union they are going into look like. If we are going to the union, what should be the union between us, we of Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon? If we are going to the union, what should be which town should be the capital? We cannot choose Yaoundé because Yaoundé is already their capital when they had independence on the 1st of January 1960. We cannot choose Boya because Boya is also a capital. Let's choose a neutral town like Douala because Douala is neutral and closer to us. That's why they were discussing in Bamenda. And the system of government, they are precisely a different system of government from us because a Frenchman system of government is totally different from an Englishman system of government. So in Bamenda, they said we will prefer a parliamentary system of government where parliament has more powers than the president. And if we are going for a union, we should talk about human rights because they don't have respect for human rights. Most French African countries, not in Cameroon, they no respect for human rights. The way a French police can address you, a French is different from where an English and will address you. These are clear historical facts about this issue. So in Bamenda, Foncha and other southern Cameroonians met in Bamenda and discussed the issue of how they are going to, even the issue of system of government. Most Francophone or French system of government is not federation. Federation is not a French system of government. Most federated countries, we are English-speaking countries, not in French-speaking countries. So in Bamenda, again, Foncha, we talk about a confederation, a loose federation, coming together that people will operate under their own. That's why they agree in Bamenda. They were discussing among Anglophones. There was no Frenchman in Bamenda. So after the Bamenda discussion of how we are going to union, organized by Jongo Foncha, other political parties like One Cameroon, the Tomasa, other political parties like CPNC of Ndeli, although Ndeli was not feeling fine, but he sent a representative called Mbile and they said to represent him during the conference. So after that now, before now, they are preventing this after reunification, or 1161. After that now, because now, they now say, okay, let's leave from Southern Camp. We of Bamenda, don't leave now from Bamenda to Fumban for the union. But Barrister I'm not arguing with him. In Fumban, they only did what they call constitutional proposals. There was nothing serious in Fumban about discuss. And it is very clear that because they left from Fumban on two different ways. Foncha, who was the premier of Southern Cameroon based in Boya, the capital, left from Tiko Airport to Kotaba before going to Fumban. Fumban don't have airport, it's Kotaba before 25 kilometers to Fumban. So although they met in Fumban on that Monday, 17 July to Friday, 1 week conference in Fumban was also issued. It was only Southern Cameroon sit together to discuss. And what we were discussing was, as Barrister earlier said, was a revised constitution of the Republic of Cameroon. I think that history has declared that before even Bamenda conference, Foncha met with Aijo on the 22nd and 24th of May 1961 in Yaoundé. And Aijo handed to Foncha the Fumban draft constitution before the Bamenda conference. And again, Foncha met again with Aijo in Boya between 14 and 19 of June before the Bamenda conference. And Aijo again handed to Foncha the Fumban draft constitution. But unfortunately, during the Bamenda Party conference, Foncha have not presented it for them to know that this is what we are going to discuss in Fumban. So in Fumban, for Monday 17, Tuesday 18, 19, Southern Cameroon were only discussing on the very revised constitution of the Republic of Cameroon. But most Southern Cameroons were not aware. It was only on this, and even the time, even on the 19th, which is Thursday, 23rd, which is Thursday, that they meet in the plenary session with the Republic of Cameroon, they used around 95 minutes discussing on constitutional issue. In fact, Fumban was all about celebration, a feast, what they started Fumban by night.
Yeah, okay.
So it was. I'm just saying that from Fumban, the final thing was they went to Bamenda in what was known. They are only tripartite. Tripartite means three. Tripartite three. British side in Cameroon 1, the Republic of Cameroon 2, and the British. Okay. To put in what they have discussed in Fumban into legal framework. Yeah, that's the main reason for the Yaoundé tripartite conference. Put what they have agreed in Fumban into legal framework. Whether it never worked for Southern Cameroon, whether it was a draft constitution of the Republic of Cameroon, but Southern Cameroon were there in Fumban and they work on it. And they discuss on it. Yeah, no, the British were there in the Yaoundé tripartite. These are we have classified files. Classified file concerning this. I think we have seen even go to West Cameroon. They are classified file related to what we are discussing. That say that is history. We are not talking about politics or emotion.
So there was a Bamenda meeting after which they went to Fumban. After Fumban, they met in Yaoundé tripartite. Yes.
I don't know. The historians need to clear what we read. You have asked him a very important question. Is there a document the British wrote to show that their mission is over? I'm sure historians should provide answers to what you have raised, because it's very important for clarity. And secondly, he made mention of the fact that Southern Cameroon was less developed. It puts me to the question what I read in history, whether I was, because I read somewhere in history, which I wrote, was that you could borrow 1 million francs CFA in Southern Cameroon to do business, then you could not borrow up to 1 million francs CFA in the Republic of Cameroon. That's why businessmen, that's why businessmen were coming to this side to borrow money to do business. And I also read somewhere that we had the Tiko airport, the Bafut airport, the Manfe airport. And so I read somewhere that we had the power cam Now they less economic at the time. No, let me learn historian. You will speak. You speak for long. I was just noting.
Yes.
Then you said something about development. I want us to look at development in the context of 1960. The number of population, the number of industry at the time, as relevant to both sides. Anyway, so your topic is what is the 2 October 1st, and this is it. I want historians to clarify us again on this aspect of October 1st. Professor Evans Golengole, whom I respect so much because he is someone well knowledgeable, grounded with facts, states that there is no political inclination into this 1st of October 1961. And I read somewhere in history that political inclination comes when people go to the ballot to cast their vote. And when they cast their vote, it involves a political process, which now materialized to what we have as 1st of October 1961, which was the plebiscite, 11 February 1st, which was the political process that purported us into 1st October 1961. If we can go to the ballot on 11 February 1961, where we sang a song, the United Nations gave us the option to choose independent or reunification, it was a great day, and we could sing that song because they cast the ballot, which is a political process. And we come now in this generation and say it does not have a political meaning, which we saw that there was a political process in this. In the reunification, it therefore beats my imagination if the 1st October 1961 or the plebiscite was just like the Germano-Douala Treaty, which was signed between King Bear and King Akwa and the Germans. You can say the Germano-Douala Treaty has no political inclination. I would say yes, because the people of Cameroon at the time did not vote to give King Bear and King Akwa the power to sign the treaty or the preliminary treaty or the Germano-Douala Treaty. But the people of West Cameroon at the time came together with campaigns that were done from all the nooks and crannies, from Widikum right to Agbokun German, right to Kupe Mandinguba to Alo. They came together, they voted, which was a political process to join this 1st October that we are seeing, which means that to me, it's a day we should celebrate as a national day of unification. It's not a day that we should. I want to ask Professor Golengole, what happened on 1st of October 2018 in Yaoundé at the Reunification Monument? If that was not a political inclination, when ministers celebrated 1st October in 2018, at the same time, what were they doing on that 1st October 2018? What were they celebrating? What political inclination? Can you dissociate the political inclination of 1st October 1961 from its historical inclination? Of course, it is 2 words, N or no. To me, as a Cameroonian, I believe and I stand for it that we should celebrate 1st October as a day of unification, as a day of the new Cameroon that sing, O Cameroon, cradle of our fathers, the holy shall reign in our midst. They now repose. I want to ask historians this question. I want to ask historians this question. No, if we are talking about the birth of the new Cameroon, the unified Cameroon, the Cameroon that brought the people from West, the people from East together to look at their diversity. I want to ask historians, please tell us, what was the anthem at the time when the Republic of Cameroon had their independence of 1st January 1960 and right up to 1st October 1961? If we have this harmonized, then we will say that yes, but I believe 1st October 1961, we should come together as Cameroonians every 1st of October to celebrate our unity, which would give the common man the view that we are one and we are indivisible.
Okay, one and indivisible. Ndifor, Richard, who should be online?
You challenge me on something. I want to clarify just 1 minute.
Okay.
I did not challenge you.
I was just from 1884 to from 1884 to 1916 that Cameroon was beyond the German. Cameroon was developed. The German had put in place institutions. When I say Cameroon, when I say starting Cameroon was less developed, I mean from 1916 to 19. Let me learn. I mean from 1916 to 1961, comparing what Britain did in starting Cameroon and what, let me learn about, comparing what Britain did in starting Cameroon and what France did in French Cameroon. It is very clear. I'm still repeating that. When I say British starting Cameroon, let's develop, I mean from 1916, what Britain did in starting Cameroon and what France did in French Cameroon. Britain did little compared to what.
Okay, I'd like to read this. There is no denying that the UK government wanted Southern Cameroon to achieve independence in association with Nigeria, and covertly or overtly discouraged the territory's attainment of independence as a separate political entity. Lennox Boyd's advice to Southern Cameroon's delegates at the 1957 London Constitutional Conference, and which was repeated by Mine at the August 1959 Manfei Plebiscite Conference, was very clear. They said, many of the best friends of Cameroon do not foresee a destiny more likely to promote her happiness and prosperity than continued association with Nigeria. The fear and rejection of the third option within official British circles was well expressed by Mina. But we also understand that the British also cited that I don't know if it's the key to the British Treasury will not be open to Southern Cameroons. But Ndifor, Richard, I want us to understand better this whole concept of independence by joining Cameroon or Nigeria, and the complex nature of understanding what that requires. Actually, many persons think that, like Senior Barrister is saying, that the UN, I don't know whether it's the UN or the British, did not complete the job, and that there was no formal arrangement. Are we saying that the United Nations failed in their duties? They are the ones that organized this. They're the ones who organized the plebiscite that took place. They are the ones who have admitted and have carried out business and other activities with Cameroon. Are they not aware that certain dispositions in 1608 resolution were not respected? Okay, similarly, and Ndifor Richard is not there. Prof, are you there? Okay, it appears we have issues with our network. Yes, okay. Now, the British, we claim that it did not finish their work in Cameroon. The United Nations actually organized this plebiscite, and
they finished their work.
They did not finish their work. Are you now tasking the United Nations to come and finish their work when they have been carrying out businesses with Cameroon?
Thank you, Mr. Kum. Let me start with what my
Clovis.
brother here erroneously stated, because he said in 1961, the Republic of Cameroon was more developed than Southern Cameroon, courtesy of the commendable work done by the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiations. I can tell you authoritatively that in 1961, Southern Cameroon was an economic giant, whereas Republic of Cameroon wasn't. Yeah. Southern Cameroon had, look, Bismarck Airport had 4 tracks in 1961. Up till today, even Yaoundé, even Douala, none of them has even 2 tracks. 2 landing tracks. So tell me whether up till today, like this, the airports of Republic of Cameroon can measure with Bismarck. Southern Cameroon had a central bank. Up to today, has Republic of Cameroon had a central bank. They had the produce marketing board. They had the national lottery. What do you want me to cite? Now, Southern Cameroon had experts who constructed the Douala railway station. Was it a Frenchman, a Francophone, or a Southern Cameroonian? Neba Bongwa, a Southern Cameroonian, built that airport. Who constructed University of Yaoundé? Nanga. I'm giving you people, experts who came out of Southern Cameroon from the independence. Who constructed Kumba railway station? Neba Bongwa. And please, you should be truthful. On the 1st of January, when the Republic of Cameroon was having its independence, the children who were marching, who partook in the march past, were barefooted and bare-bodied. I have the pictures. If you want, I will show you. The children of Southern Cameroon who marched on the Independence Day, 1st of October, were wearing uniforms and shoes. I'm not exaggerating. No, truly. So you cannot. We have seen the planes that landed at Tico Airport. Queen Elizabeth of blessed memory landed at Tico Airport in a Boeing 747. How can you come to air and tell the world that Southern Cameroon was less developed? Please. That is not. Okay, let me go back. Let me go now to your answer. No. Britain may not have done, but the Southern Cameroonians themselves were entrepreneurial people.
No, I'm not refusing.
You should accept that one.
What Britain did and what France did. We should be clear about this.
No, you said Southern Cameroon was less developed. That was what you said.
No, let me call my point. I'm talking about what Britain did.
I only talk of airports. I don't talk of seaports or river ports.
No, Senior Barrister.
And then road network.
We should be clear about this thing.
Please let me answer my question.
I would look at what Britain did and what France did. Britain did very
little. Your time will come, sir.
Britain did very little as compared to what France did.
Your time will come, sir. Okay. Now let me come now to your question. Your question was, did Britain finish its work? Did United Nations finish their work? Now, the United Nations in Resolution 1608 in Article 4 prescribed the manner in which the trusteeship agreement was going to come to an end. They prescribed it themselves in Article 4. They said, in relation with respect to the Southern Cameroon, they themselves prescribed it. They asked Britain to oversee an agreement between the two states.
Yeah, but
till today, they don't have anything to show.
Yeah, but if that was not done, who do you fault here?
The two of them, Britain. We saw the Union Jack being lowered. Which flag was raised? Britain was at fault. They lowered their Union Jack, meaning that they were leaving the territory. Which flag went up? No flag. The UN was at fault because they prescribed a job for Britain to do and never oversaw the job. They never made sure that job was completed. Where is the report? Like my friend was asking, have you historian, can you show all that report that Britain gave to the United Nations saying that we have finished our job?
Okay.
This is Mr. Kum, excuse me. This is very important because many people ask this question. When you go to the African Union Constituent Acts, Article 4 says that every country recognizes that its borders are those obtained at independence. What we are saying here is very important because that document we're asking for would have been sent to the UN to enable the UN to include Southern Cameroon within the boundaries of the Republic of Cameroon or whatever state they are creating. That has not been done. And if you go to the UN today, the map of the Republic of Cameroon is as of 1960. It's as of 1960. So please, we are living in a situation where de facto we are together, but de jure we are not.
Okay, but Ndifor, Richard, I hear you back. We're talking about understanding our complex history. The United Nations is said to not have completed its job in Cameroon. I don't know whether that is what the history books actually say. The United Nations has been interacting, carrying out activities with Cameroon and recognizes Cameroon the way it is today. How do we understand that they did not finish the job? And the British themselves, should we say that the British did not complete what they were tasked to do in Cameroon? Is that what you're teaching? Are you teaching students? Because you are a history teacher. Is that what you're teaching?
Yes, Leonard. You see, we have this very problem. I've been reading the comments on some of the comments on the comment section where a lot of people seem to be praising Barrister Ashu, given that he's saying the kind of things that they like to hear, and which is the problem we have in Cameroon. People are excited to hear what they want to hear, but facts are stubborn and facts are facts. You see, there is something I want us to be clear about, that when we talk of Resolution 1608, there is something within that I just want to mention that we should take very seriously. In Resolution 1608 was not concerned only about Southern Cameroons or concerned only about Cameroons as a whole. It was concerned with all the trusteeship territories that were under the United Nations. And if you look at Resolution 1608, on each of those territories, they say, for example, British Southern Cameroon, they said termination. The word they used there was the termination of, let me just get that straight, the termination of the trusteeship agreement with regard to Cameroon under the British mandate or British trusteeship. Now, when you go to that, there are sections that have been read, and many people have heard that, but when we get the previous sections, which many people have not heard it, you will see a clear statement by the United Nations that clearly explain that its mandate in Cameroon or in southern Cameroon, it's over. And if you will permit me, Leonard, let me just quickly read that. It says that with regards to the southern Cameroons, the plebiscite commissioner reported that the 95.75 or 94.75% of registered persons had voted, of whom, I don't want to go to that detail. He stated that the plebiscite had been efficiently organized and conducted by the administering authority, and that he was satisfied that the people of the southern Cameroons had the opportunity to express their wishes freely and secretly at the polls concerning the alternative offered to them. Then they went further, I'll just go straight so that I don't waste much of your time. They went further to say it considered that the people of the two parts, referring to British Northern Cameroons and British Southern Cameroons, two parts of the territory, trust territory, having freely and sacredly expressed their wishes with regards to their respective futures in accordance with General Assembly Resolution 1352 and 1473, the decisions made by them through democratic process under the supervision of the United Nations should be immediately implemented. In accordance, decided that the plebiscite having been taken separately with differing results, the trusteeship agreement of 13 December 1946 of the Charter and in agreement with the administering authority in the following manner. Then he went further to say that he went further to say that with respect to the Southern Cameroons on 1st October 1961, upon its joining the Republic of Cameroon, finally the Assembly invited the administering authority, the government of Cameroon. I think we read that already. And so there is a section there, I will not have time to go through that, but there's a section there, I'll need to look at it, where it clearly stated that it finalized its responsibility in Southern Cameroons. And in that case, I really am trying to understand what Barrister Ashu is expecting, what document Barrister Ashu is expecting that the United Nations should present or that British should present. I think he should be clear enough to tell us what is this document that he is expecting that the United Nations or the British administration should present, to be clear enough that their administration or their responsibility in Southern Cameroons were concluded. But as far as Resolution 1608 is concerned, it is clearly stated that they had terminated their responsibility in Southern Cameroons and in other territories where they have the trusteeship responsibility. They had terminated their responsibility in those territories. So what we are saying is that instead of putting so much focus on things that are trivial, talking about a flag that was raised and a flag that was brought down, that quite honestly I consider to be trivial because it has no bearing on the substance of the issue, which was that the United Nations had endorsed the plebiscite that was taken. They had endorsed the fact that Southern Cameroons had achieved its independence by joining, and therefore whether a flag was brought up and a flag brought down or whatever he's trying to demonstrate there has no real substance on the issues at stake. And so we should be pushing the argument that after they had joined, they agreed, and I would have loved Professor Ngole to be here to get this, they agreed that both territories were going to form the union on the basis of a federation. The question is, was that agreement respected to the latter? If it was not respected to the latter, where was the fault? What was the problem? And therefore, we should go back to discuss on that issue. Now, if we are thinking of southern Cameroons wanting to achieve independence as a separate territory, which many people are advocating, and which is their right to advocate that the territory should become an independent territory, what should be done is that they should be calling for a referendum that should be organized to give them the right to express their wish to terminate a decision that they had taken earlier and then start back afresh. Rather than pushing this false claim that British Southern Cameroon never joined La République du Cameroun, or that they were never a union or whatsoever, that is a false claim, and that has no substance and has no bearing. And a lot of people have said this. Thibault Nagy himself has said it. And a lot of other people have concluded that the United Nations cannot go back to a decision that they have taken on and concluded. They can never go back to that kind of a decision. If anything, they want to go back to any decision, they will be going back to call for a referendum, and that can only be done, not by the United Nations, it can only be done by the Yaoundé administration, the Yaoundé regime. And therefore, we should, if we want that, the Yaoundé regime to do that.
Yes, but we know that there was a Banjul ruling on this same issue. We know that a delegation went to meet with the Secretary General in 1995, led by John Gufoncha Estimuna. They came back and seemingly, yes, senior by you are laughing, I don't know. They came back with the United Nations flag at the Mungu. Why is the United Nations not looking into this issue? Because if they have unfinished business in Cameroon, this delegation went and they were received, I'm sure 29 minutes, like Dr. Munzu said, not by the Secretary General himself, but he delegated somebody to receive them. Why has the United Nations not taken it serious if they truly have unfinished business in Cameroon?
And Leonard, that is why I am telling you that based on my reading of Resolution 1608, except I am interpreting it wrongly, based on my reading of Resolution 1608, the United Nations business in Cameroon is done and finished with. They don't have any unfinished business in Cameroon.
Okay.
If there is anything that we want to talk about, like, it will be us and the Yaoundé regime to agree that a new referendum be conducted, just like it has happened in Quebec several times, just like it has happened in Scotland, in the United Kingdom several times. It is not for the United Nations to come in and do that. And that is why the United Nations has been very, very emphatic and very, very clear on this, that it is an internal affair of Cameroon. It is an internal affair. And they say this because they know that Resolution 1608 is that document that Senior Barrister Ashu keep asking, that where is the legal document that officially binds the union between the two.
Okay.
1608 is very clear on that.
Okay.
And any body can read that.
We may have to come back to that. I would really want to engage some other historians, maybe professors with Senior Barrister. Unfortunately, last time he could not make it when Professor Ngo was here. I would like us to really do a detailed analysis of 1608 and some of the resolutions and yes, submissions from the United Nations. Yes, but he says that the United Nations have finished its job. Britain, are you of the same opinion? Is that what you're teaching your students?
Yes, I think I keep saying that I'm not a politician, and I keep saying that Southern Cameroon was not a British, it was not owned by British, it was a UN trust territory from Mandate B of the League of Nations to UN trust territory, not British. British was only doing governing Southern Cameroon under the supervision of the United Nations. When the territories, when Germany was sent out of Cameroon, Cameroon automatically become a Mandate B territory of the League of Nations. When the League collapsed by 1939, with creation of UNO in 1945, she took over these mandated territories, which were changed into strategic territory under the United Nations, and to prepare them towards independence, following the decision they agreed on the 13th of December 1946. And by 1961, following Article 76B of the UN Charter, that the territory should be prepared towards independence. So that's why I keep saying that if we keep biting, calling Britain, who organized plebiscite? Why is that Britain could not organize plebiscite? It was not. Britain was just doing it under the supervision of the United Nations organization, and UN organized plebiscite. And I think if we are to because sometimes we are not like giving UN I don't like praising UN. If like me as a historian, sometimes I used to ask UN to extend a blame to UN as an organization, international organization, on the issue of why is it that she limit the option only to 2? When it comes to the plebiscite, why is that option will limit only to? Do you people wish to have independence by A, in reunification with the Independent Republic of Cameroon, or B, as in association with Nigeria? Why is that there was no other option that we have gone to treat like PM Kale of the Cameroon United Party who opted for? And that's why when the UPC was created on the 10th of April 1940 in French Cameroon, the UPC, the key motto, the motto of UPC was independent before reunification. That's why UPC was fighting independent of both between Cameroon and French Cameroon before reunification, and not independent for French Cameroon. I mean reunification before independent, and not independent before reunification that happened in French Cameroon and Southern Cameroon. So sometimes when I'm blaming UN, I will ask them, why is that UN could limit only the choice? Why is it that UN could not open up the choice of, because we were not, I think it's clear. I mentioned on the 20th of September 1961, PM Khaled indicated to the United Nations Organization the issue of plebiscite. My party KUP, who stuck for independence in Cameroon, will not attend the plebiscite, and we'll make sure that the plebiscite will destroy the ballots. I think that's where sometimes I used to extend my blame. But going back to 1961, UN say bye-bye to UN trust system, and that maybe it is historical. Why is it that UN has been silent and fighting Anglophone crisis has been going on? Because her job in Cameroon was completed as compared to 76 at UN 76 at Charter 76B of UN Charter, which declared that she should prepare the territory towards all the trust territory were prepared independent, and they completed their job in Cameroon in 1961. So calling Britain that Britain Cameroon will not belong to Britain. It was a UN trust territory.
Okay, a very difficult one there for you and I, Jarvis. But the only problem we really have is to get historians come and talk. Yeah. It is easy for persons to blast on social media and say all sorts of things. We invite persons to come and explain the things like Ndifor is doing, like Prof. Elvis Ngolengola is doing, and a senior barrister is doing. Most of the historians we know, we invite them. The whole of this weekend, I struggled. I've called them. I even got to you. I actually got to you. Help me get some of these guys. Nobody will want to come and talk, but it's easy to throw stones at those who can muster the courage to come and talk. So and we hope that historians are going to come more and more to educate. Can I give you the name of a historian you can invite? Yes. All right. Off the mic. Okay. I'm sure maybe the person you are going to tell me, I've spoken with him, inviting him. Sure. Many of them, I've spoken with them. They'll say they will come, but they rarely come. We are heading at this juncture. Thank you for coming. Certainly you have one last word. No, thank you, Mr. Kum. After this heated debates, I always hear some people saying, but that's a politician, why is he taking this type of stand? Let me make it very clear. Reform Party stands for an undivided Cameroon. So we are making this argument because we believe that the nation was created on a faulty foundation. So that foundation has to be revisited so that we have a solid state. Okay. Thank you to Jarvis for coming.
Thank you very much. It's kind of very difficult, especially when you see documents, counter documents, and I just pray that historians and legal minds will come together. Maybe legal minds should come together and explain to us Resolution 1608 from the legal perspective. Then historians come and give up because we are confused. Okay, thank you too for coming.
Mr. Leonard and my media, Prime TV, and senior barrister. I think I have looking at his political party, National Reform Party, and key objectives. I think it's one of the parties I appreciate in Cameroon. And even he as the leader, the courage, and I appreciate the very political party. If I have to become politician tomorrow, I will first join his political National Reform Party. So I'm happy with him.
Okay, Ndifor Richard, thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much, Leonard. And thanks for having me. It has been a very interesting conversation. And I'd like to appeal to all of us Cameroonians that we should seek to get the facts as they are, rather than focusing on hearing what we want to hear, rather than waiting for people to tell us what pleases us. We should try to get the facts, because it is through It is by getting the facts that we will be able to understand the complexity of the situation and to understand what we are able and are not able to achieve at this time.
Okay, I don't know whether Professor Elvis Ngolengola is there. Thank you for coming and talking to Cameroonians this evening. Professor is not there. We want to thank you, Eli and Desmond, for producing this edition of the program, and also to you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising the work we do out here. We have persons who are in looking for the services of drivers, 2 drivers. Please, if you have the required experience, please get to me via my WhatsApp number, and I'll get you connected to the person seeking the services of drivers. We want to thank you all for watching. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.